All right, I have to record this again because I was told by my agent that I talk too fast and people have a hard time listening to somebody that's talk too fast. So, what time is it? It's past my bedtime. I was up all last night. I'm recording music. I get up this morning. It's time to go again. I got to get up to the coffee shop. This is made of the coffee shop. Doesn't matter what one, because I'm incognito. All these nice people there, they serve coffee and whatnot. I just had a seltzer. That's what I use to stay hydrated so I don't pass out, which I feel like I'm going to pass out in a minute. It's 8:55. It's way past my bedtime. 8:55 p.m. I'm an early riser, so I go to sleep early. I don't watch any TV. What did just happen with that? It's like it turned upside down. I don't know what happened. I think I'm just tired. So anyway, what am I using here? See, I'm so far into the process, I forgot to start talking about it. So I start out by flooding the surface. I spray paint, spray bottle, water, a little mister, and mist the paper, and then I just slide in those are FW acrylics. That's on the bottom, the green. I pick the ones I want by intuition, so I know what my color scheme is for the day. Just something it's symbolic as well. I always think of colors symbolically. Somebody asks, why do you collect colors? Because of their symbolic uh, associations. And for the purposes of this drawing, those are the right colors. And then I have all these colored inks, and I arrange those. They're on the right there with I don't know what they are. They're new. They're newer ones. Some company, somebody can figure it out. And then there's a Sharpie. I can recognize that on the left. I use different whatever I like. They're as long as they're compatible. Like the oil base goes oil base, and the water soluble base goes with the water soluble, and you have to have the permanent inks on the bottom, the water soluble ones on top. It's a sophisticated technique. You have to know what you're doing with a crow quill pen. Like that's a crow quill pen, so it gets a really sharp line. Unlike the it's I hate to say it, but the American stuff like Hunts that all the underground people used and promote, Hunts 102B, that's a terrible. I don't know why anybody would use that unless they didn't know how to draw very well. And it doesn't matter whether they have a fine ink line, like the manga artists or the earlier Mad Magazine artists, they use real fine lines. I like that line. That's the line I use. So, but you have to practice it. This one, you got to practice it. You practice to see what the pen does. If you're a master of the Hunts 102B, there's nowhere to go. It's just like Pollock. If you're the master of, enamel paint off a stick, you're not going to be able to do much with it. So you run into a dead end. And this is infinitely advanced. You can advance as far as you want with it. But you have to practice and practice and practice. So I practice all day and all night. That's why I'm so tired. And what does it mean? Well, that would take a long time to talk about. So I'm not going to get into meaning. And that gets into everybody gets all upset if it doesn't have some simple meaning. So my meaning comes out of the Holy Bible. It could be the Quran. It doesn't, the same thing. But that my specific understanding, it comes from reading the Holy Bible, particularly the Old Testament, like Ezekiel 2 and 3. That's what speaks to me, and that's what my work has always been about, is the end times and the apocalypse. Always been, since I was a little kid, I saw this. Temptation of St. Anthony was my favorite painting. And Triumph of Death by Bruegel, that's in the Prado in Madrid, I guess, unless they close the Prado, like they closed the National Gallery. They shut down half of the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C. What's that all about? Well, can't get in there anyway. Parking's too expensive. There's my crayons. Those are Caran d'Ache crayons. They're expensive as hell, but they're the only good crayon. I got my Crayolas for $2, so I use those too. You know, they give me that's like $70 for that little arrangement of Caran d'Ache, and the bigger sets cost too much. I can't afford those. Who can? They used to sell them. They had sold them in the black market in St. Mark's place in the East Village. These guys would rip them off and they'd sell them for $50 or something like that. I guess I should feel bad for buying them, but I couldn't afford the $300 ones. And I think Pearl's probably, didn't lose much. Pearl paint was where you were paying these, and Pearl paint, who would I see shopping there? All these red grooms or these artists go, I'll buy $5,000 worth of this or that, have my assistants back it up. What's her name? Kiki Smith, would be down in the East Village. All that's New York's art supply. I got all my art supplies I got from high-end stuff, but I'm not high-end anymore, so I'll just as soon go to Michael's or something like that. It doesn't matter. Everything's going to be deteriorate, including me. I'm already deteriorated. I'm a national treasure, though. I'm a treasure, a spiritual treasure. That's what I'm interested in. Art is about, for me anyway, it's about exploration of consciousness. It's not about making a sellable product, For me, my personal belief in art is that you explore your own subconscious and your spiritual reality, where that comes from. Let's see. I cannot. It's all these. One guy said something about pattern. It's like in the water, all this dot obsessive pattern. I don't obsessive pattern. They're clothing. Any more than Bosch was obsessive patterning. They're the suits and materials that the characters are wearing. You have to do the detail for them to be in. In my case, and in Bosch's case, you have to go fast. You don't sit there fiddling around with metal reflections or things. You'd never make a painting. Like today, it's just there's one guy, or like Rembrandt. Rembrandt's great. Yeah, he's okay, but not like Bosch is great or Bruegel is great. He's great for the biblical paintings, fantastic, but he doesn't have that kind of visionary imagination that the other artists that I relate to, because I'm like Ensor, James Ensor, somebody like that. Or for Angelico, for that matter. It's the Christian apocalypse that most interests me, because that's where I've always thought we were, for whatever reason. I just grew up with Catholic, maybe. And I don't like the sex stuff. I just think it's monotonous and it's repetitive, and how many big butts and giant dicks and stuff, stuff like that do you see before you get tired of seeing it?